that brings me to the question that how important is machine learning in the future of India, and how much of government help do you think should be, government funding, etc., how much of free education should be there to encourage more people to take up machine learning? Do you think free education should happen, and how much of government effort versus how much proportionately how much of civilian effort should come into this? How important is machine learning
in the Indian context?
and especially future?
Let's start with that. Again, let me just say, machine learning is one of the most important technologies of the modern day, and it is bringing unforeseen transformations across various domains such as drug discovery, recognition, performance, anti-abuse, law enforcement, and many other domains. I can just go on and on.
You have worked on flood predictions and weather patterns as well, right?
Yeah. So, see, let's tackle the problem part by part. The thing is, India is an agriculture first company,
Right.
not company, an agriculture first nation. Extremely sorry about calling it a company. Sorry. So, see, there are lots of problems in that domain itself. For example, irrigation management. These things are overly manual these days, at
Yeah.
least in India, and and by that virtue, it's also error prone.
Right.
But countries like Israel, they are using machine learning related technologies in order to improve the overall quality of their agricultural aspects, and thereby helping the farmers, sort of aiding the farmers in that process. There are lots of ways in which machine learning can be used in order to aid different aspects of the agricultural undertakings India currently has, as I was mentioning, irrigation, farming,
Okay.
and so on. For example, if we have an automated way to predict the plant diseases, we can plan things
Okay.
better, and we can have better estimates, right?
Okay.
Currently, several officers need to do field visits. They need to examine things manually and so on. Imagine empowering the farmers with a mobile application, with which they could just hand their mobile phones in front of some plants and ask the application, hey, if does my plant have any disease?
Is that possible?
Yeah, you could just take a leaf or some body of the plant, and then you could sort of picture your phone, have a picture, and ask your mobile application,
Okay.
hey, does this have any disease or some sort? It's
Okay.
possible. It will basically give you some sort of estimate. Okay, 30% I think there's some problem, and then you probably need to do further auditing. Of course, I'm not suggesting eliminating the human beings completely from the loop. It's like aiding the the human force
Yeah.
that's behind this, to do things in a better way.
Yeah.
So agriculturally we have got a lot of scopes here.
Okay.
Then we could use machine learning to improve the processes involved in law enforcement. For example, an automated analysis of thousands of legal documents,
Pending cases.
and whatnot. Imagine having a system that could provide succinct and appropriate summaries of legal documents. And India is a diverse country, right? We have got many different languages across different districts,
Right.
states, and so on.
Yeah.
And it's hard for human beings to read through all of those code documents written in probably different languages and come up with summaries. I'm not saying this is not doable, but it's time taking. It's extremely time consuming, and it delays the overall process, right? So
Yeah.
if we could have an automated system in place so that we could have summaries across written across many different languages. It helps
Hmm.
everyone. So these are some of the few examples where I think ML could be really beneficial as far as India is concerned. And then there's another body of work where ML has been really beneficial for the medical domain. For example, you could use the images that you get out of X-ray, and you could predict if there's any disease. So
Okay.
the idea is to not replace doctors. The idea is to just aid them,
Hmm.
the accelerate the initial process of diagnosis. Then there's also using machine learning for you know for weather prediction and stuff like that, because we have a very diverse
Climate all over the country.
all over the country. So in that in order to accurately estimate the weather conditions, and in order to probably possibly prevent some calamities, we could also use machine learning. And I have worked on flood predictions problem before. I think I participated in a competition organized by NASA, where there was a task to sort of predict the areas that are more likely to undergo flood just from the satellite imagery, and and by analyzing different sources of data. So these problems are directly applicable to India, I think, and this is where I also think that ML can be really beneficial.
Uh, One way the government plays a role in this is if companies come up with these private companies come up with these technologies, the government can give them a helping hand, or just lower their taxes, and so that those companies can flourish in India. My question is how to create more people like you who are neither the government, neither the companies themselves. How to create people who are equipped with this skill set.
I think there first needs to be awareness and a proper narrative that ML is not just a buzzword. It's actually an amalgamation of different skills that you need to learn along the way if you are really interested, and they also need to be well aware of the kind of problems where ML is actually applicable, because there are lots of problems where ML is not applicable.
Okay.
So I mean, you wouldn't want to use a hammer to kill a rat, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, these sort of uh, narratives, this sort of awareness, these things need to be communicated to the younger minds, including me, in a proper and better manner. And of course, things are improving. We have got lots of amazing communities here in India that are trying to do good work, trying to educate people about the right set of skills needed in order to hone their machine learning skills. So I think things are progressing, but my one takeaway would be to not rely solely on what they teach you in the Indian colleges, but also have an open mind to expand your skill sets, see what universities like Stanford, Harvard, what they are doing, how they are using machine learning in order to upskill their students, and how they're preparing their students to be amazing machine learning practitioners. And it's not again just about the elite colleges that I mentioned. They also have an open wing where they sort of
Yeah.
make all their courses public, so that
Yeah.
the entire community can get benefited from
Yeah,
it.
the CS50 is free.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of courses. CS 231, and
Okay.
there's CS 224, and there are lots of courses which
Yeah.
are completely out there for free on YouTube. But as I was also mentioning, the course from Fast AI. I mean, you have got lots of free resources which you can readily use in order to learn all the skills that you really need. Again, the final point really comes down to practice and hands-on stuff, because you are a recording engineer and also a music producer itself. You compose music and you have worked for a lot of clients. I'm pretty sure that your theory knowledge played a very little part in that.
Yeah.
Your hands-on experience did most of the wonders, right?
Yeah.
So it's also important to be able to apply your learning to all reason about how to put your learnings to good use to solve real problems, and the only way to do that is to actually do that. So just pick a problem, think about it, reason about it, write your thoughts in a pen and paper, and then probably come up with a solution which you can then code using whatever language that you prefer. And these things you learn along the way, you do not learn them one shot. It's always
Yeah.
work in progress, it's always
Yeah.
work in progress. So have that open mind to try out new things and make mistakes and then learn from it.
So you are saying the government has minimum role to play in this.
Yeah, as long as they are lowering the taxes and making the
Companies flourish.
making the companies flourish and lowering the barrier to entry, I think they do not have any other rules.
And is there any way to institutionalize this more so that not everyone will have that bravery, courage, and that courage to go out of their way to learn new things? Most people will not do that. Is there any way to create great machine learning engineers even just via people who will do this just for their bread and butter, have a nice family, and die at 90? Just for the normal people who don't want to be adventurous, who are happy with that.
I think again it's important to run campaigns that are
Okay.
collective in nature to sort of make them really aware of the benefits and try to sort of inspire them what they can contribute to the development of their own nation in practical ways. I mean, as a software engineer, often Indians find it difficult to contribute to the national cause or whatever. They take it like a gimmicky kind of thing, but look at where we are now. Everyone has their own roles to play. I mean, you are contributing to the Indic consciousness, I am trying to contribute in my own ways to the education sector, and there are lots of other folks there that are trying to contribute in their own ways to different sectors in the nation. So I think it's important for us to take that call to action so that we can at least spark some inspiration amongst normal day-to-day folks, so that they feel encouraged to take up a problem, think through it and reason about it, and make and put technology to good use.
What can the education ministry or the IT ministry, maybe science technology, whichever ministry that comes under, what can they do, or what should they do, and what should they not do, more importantly?
I think they should not interfere too much. For example, there's of course going to be safety issues and stuff like that. You wouldn't want your AI systems to,
Use by PFI.
predict garbage stuff and so on. So you want them to be as reliable and safe as possible. I think government has a say in that. Privacy concerns and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to monitor or even collect personally identifiable data, because that can affect the privacy of your citizens. I mean, you get the point on where government intervention is needed and whatnot. But I think for the ministries, they probably can collaborate with the brighter minds in the country, so that they have a platform to share their experiences in the hope, since they have the reach, the ministries, they have the reach and they have the potential to collaborate with bigger organizations to come up with a plan of action. I mean, it's a collaborative effort. It cannot happen on an individual by an individual. So if they can collaborate or partner with brighter minds in the country, so that they can come up with a plan of action, and if they can implement that plan of action, I think changes will start taking place. But again, they also need to have individuals tasked with duties like, okay, find brighter individuals from my country and stuff. And it's not that hard these days with communities like Google developer groups, Cloud, TensorFlow user groups. You have got lots of technical communities within India and across the globe. So if you just reach out to any of the organizers of these groups, I'm pretty sure they will be able to tell, okay, person X is damn good at technology X, person B is damn good at technology B, and so on. So, and we have got these communities spread across every district, every city and whatnot. So it's easy.
Since I don't know any machine learning engineer other than you, my question is collectively, overall in India, what is the state of the skill level of machine learning engineers in India? Are they very good or they very bad in compared to the rest of the world? Or how many good people are there? Is that a high number?
I think the talent pool is not a problem, but things like you need to be coming from this institution, you need to have some sort of academic affiliation to be able to work with us. This sort of barriers, this is bad. This restricts the individuals to feel encouraged or even dream about working with organizations that are solving challenging problems. So I think talent pool is
Okay.
not the problem, because coding wise India has always been a pretty amazing country. We have got lots of
Okay.
amazing coders,
Okay.
but on one hand, as I was mentioning, the I don't know, the stupidity around academic affiliation and whatnot, rather than focusing on your actual work experience, that stupidity is there
Among private companies.
among private companies, among other institutions that offer education, higher education,
Right.
and whatnot.
And if you had to give out a rough percentage, rough percentage of private companies who take that institution seriously, that will hire only if you come from this institution, what's the percentage of such companies? Are almost all companies like that?
Not all companies. I mean,
Okay.
it's again, it's becoming rare these days, because
Okay.
they have probably started realizing
Okay.
that this is not a good practice.
I see.
And yeah, I mean, this is one of those changes that really needed to happen. And almost all the startups here in India, they do not care about where you are coming from, as long as you have
Even Indian startups.
even Indian
and
startups.
foreign startups as well.
Foreign startups anyway do not care about
Okay.
where you are coming.
And how important is going to America or Europe for studying these skills? Would you have been a better engineer if you had gone to Stanford?
No.
Why not? That no was too quick and disrespectfully quick to Stanford.
Well, if I wanted to, of course, interactions matter. I
Right.
probably won't be able to interact with the Stanford profs and also some of the PhDs that I look up to. I won't be able to interact with them in the traditional settings.
Okay. Yeah.
But all the education related materials, for example, courses, assignments, I mean, all of them are available for free for anyone to consume. So education wise, I think I am getting a lot thanks to Stanford and other similar universities.
Their open course stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they put up a lot of public and open
Yeah, yeah.
courses, and they are amazingly good in quality, amazingly good. So
Okay.
that's one bit. But yeah, interaction wise, you will probably have to compromise on that. But you can earn enough skills to go to a level where you can actually interact with the professors. For example, let's say you develop your skills in the machine learning world, and then you probably get into research. Then you come up with a paper that's good enough to qualify for publication at a tier 1 venue. Again, 2 years is just a random number. It can take more time. It can definitely take more time. Then you get accepted for a tier 1 venue, and then you get to sort of exchange your thoughts. And I mean, if you repeat this process, if you're being consistent enough, then sooner or later you will start developing a voice that actually has an impact on the community directly, because folks would start caring about what you are saying, because you already have had a lot of work in the domain. Folks would probably look forward to what your opinions are. Of course, you cannot hack your way into this. Your sole intention should be to get better at your craft, think about ways to give more to the community, and also contribute to the problem solving aspects that come with machine learning. But as a byproduct of these things, you will also start developing your own ideologies, your narratives, and also your opinion, then you will also find yourself to to be voicing your opinions at social platforms, so that other folks are also aware of what you are thinking about. And these things are, I think, pretty natural, that after a certain point in time you start developing these things. As I was mentioning, you cannot hack your way into this, but as a genuine and natural practitioner who cares about a lot of the community aspect of things, you can't be neutral. You need to have your opinions, so that folks that are thinking through the same lines, they are aware, okay, we have got folks that have the same sort of mindset. And I'm not sure if probably out of some divine benevolence you will start finding collaborators who would probably be Stanford professors.
Yeah.
So
Is there any nationalism aspect to this field, in the sense that, uh, for example, you work in a Australia based company, uh, you have already had chances to work abroad, but you have actively rejected those offers. Is there, if some guy goes outside to study and then doesn't come back, is there any way for that person to contribute to India anyway, or would you say they should always come back, or do you say that it doesn't matter if they come back or not?
again, some jobs require you to stay in the,
Head office.
I'm not sure about the head office, the origin where, or the original office from which the job was posted. Some
Okay.
some jobs require you to do that. So in that case, if the individual is really passionate about the kind of work they would be doing as a part of that job, I think we cannot interfere with that. But
Mm.
there are still lots of ways one can contribute if they
Mm.
wanted to. For example, try to host seminars or talks or paper reading sessions and whatnot for your Indian ML communities. Probably have some sort of mentorship cadence in your calendar, so that the bright ML minds from India can mentored by you.
Mm.
And I think there are some folks that are currently based out of foreign countries, they are doing that. Personally, I have been mentored by lots of folks like that, and I'm really thankful.
Lots of NRIs.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there any situation? Is that situation right now, or is it going to happen in the future? If in the future, when the situation that Indian students don't feel the need to go outside to work, not studying, when does India become the spot to be in the field of machine learning? Is that anytime in the near future?
Well, the first and foremost thing is, most of the Indian companies do not pay you that well.
Hmm.
That's one part. Second part is the way they design their curriculums. I think things have started making progress, but back in the day in 2016-17, and the curriculum was itself pretty backdated. We did not have
Okay.
any incentive to work on cool stuff and
Yeah.
get sort of
Yeah.
get the incentives.
Hmm.
But this is different in foreign universities. If you have that have that mental age to work on cool stuff, interesting stuff that are impactful, you usually get a lot of incentives like internship opportunities. Your university tries to sort of provide you with those opportunities, introduce you to other organizations and so on. Currently, many tier 2 and tier 3 colleges do not do that. Of course, IITs and NITs, I think they are some sort of rarity.
Okay.
But again, you won't see a lot of IITians, NITians, and other tier 1 institution folks from other tier 1 institutions doing a whole lot in the community, because I do not come from a tier 3 institution, which I mean, I do not mean to say that I am some stalwart in the community, but I have worked with folks that come from even better institutions, for example,
Okay.
Stanford. So, as long as you are thorough work wise, I don't think those things will matter. But the primary change that needs to happen is the way we teach about things in schools and colleges. More incentives, I think, should be given to folks that want to do things differently, that do not want to do things.
How do we create an incentive for that?
Probably, I don't know, probably grace the marks. If someone had the courage to work on something cool and demonstrate their technical
Yeah.
abilities, probably grace the marks.
Uh, where do you see the ML community of India in 2030?
See, there are some startups currently that are really working on India specific problems, but the number is not as expected, I would say. There are lots of issues with funding too. But again, there are also startups like Postman. They are not an ML based startup. At least ML is not their first and primary
Okay.
product. But Postman is again an Indian startup that is trusted by a ton of software engineers across the globe. So I'm really proud
Okay.
about that. So in 2030, I think there will be more Indian startups at least, trying to solve India specific problems, so that they can, get some amount of encouragement from the government and work with them to, get good data, necessary data, so that they can, feed them to improve their machine learning systems. And of course, if they are able to do that, then they will be in a better position to approach investors to get their funding, to get their companies up and running. But long story cut short, I see more startups trying to solve India specific problems with
Right.
machine learning.
And since I was planning to ask, where do you still see the field in 2040 and 2050 as well, but let's just stick to the symbolic year of 2047, since it's 100 years of independence. Where do you see the field in 2047, and what will be its position in the entire world in terms of machine learning?
I think by that time, many folks will realize that it's important to have hands-on skill rather than solely relying on what you are taught in the classrooms. So I think they will be in a better position to think about problems and also think about how their skills could be relevant to solve their problems. And I think government the government will also have a better understanding of how important
Yeah.
machine learning is as far as different problems are concerned. They will of course see an influx in the number of startups trying to solve India specific problems. So I think they will also feel encouraged to take some time to set up some team so that it can be monitored in an efficient manner. So overall, I see good things coming for the ML community, but it needs to happen at a consistent pace. We can't slow things down from here. So yeah, we need to sort of work collectively, care about the community, and also care about the Indian cause, and figure out how we can contribute in our own ways so that the nation progresses as a whole.
Interesting that you mentioned that consistency is important and not slow things down. What are the things do you think might slow things down? What are the things we might do that might screw this thing up? What to avoid?
Bureaucracy, for example, could be one, but I don't see, if there's a national cause, if an organization is really trying to solve a really important problem, I don't think any government will be bureaucratic about that, and they should probably prioritize their development from the first get go. So apart from bureaucracy, there could be problems in talent, because those teams that are trying to solve India specific problems, they need, you know, professionals that cannot just code, but they can also think and reason about stuff. I mean, coding can become easier at some point, but thinking about solutions, thinking about
problem solving is a different skill set altogether.
Thinking about the system, overall system architectures, that's art more than science. I mean, I think that's more alchemy than science, if I will. So, and these things again benefit from folks who try to, you know, who try to focus more on the hands-on side of things and try to also reason about the implications of doing things hands-on and also applying their skill sets to a serious problem. So as long as we have analytical minds like that coming in, and because the startups I am envisioning here, they will benefit from this sort of a talent pool. So talent pool can be a problem, but if folks are aware of their surrounding, of what's happening and how they need to prepare themselves, I think this problem can be tackled.
Now this question is a little long and layered. So how important is doing masters or PhD in this field? Masters was not a very common thing in our parents' generation. It became common just for a while, just when we were young kids, and people who we used to call Dada and Didi, they were the ones everyone was doing masters all of a sudden, and now all of a sudden again masters is losing its value, masters and PhD. So you haven't done a masters. Do you think you would have benefited if you had done masters? And is there absolutely no value to masters? And if yes, then if no, then who are the people who should do masters and who are the people who should not do masters and get to job? And do you see a situation where even graduation is not important anymore and people can just learn stuff on their own after class 12, because everyone is learning coding from when they are 12 and 13 now?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Let me try my best. So see, many people have the perception that if I do a master's, I will get a job that pays me really well.
Okay.
But then again, if you are really confident about your skill set, then that should not matter. So I think I don't know where it started from, but usually this is one of the primary perceptions that bring people to pursuing masters. But there are, of course, many other exceptions where people really want to get that masters by research, where they typically work on a research thesis with a professor. They really try to tackle a fundamental problem, and they get pleasure working on fresh problems and incorporating their ideas, challenging the existing literature, and trying to make a dent in the field. So I think that's all good, because you are really contributing to the development of the science. So I think that's good. But the other perception that earning a master's will magically give me a tremendous boost in my CTC, that's anyway shitty. I think that's one of the primary perceptions around. And also, the general trajectory is, you get into your bachelor's, then probably you were unable to get a job or something. This is one of the many scenarios. Of course, it's undesirable if you are not able to get a job, because if you pursued engineering, then after BTech or BE, you would expect that you will have a job by the end of your 4th year. This is a common perception. So many people, after not landing up with any jobs or something, they try to choose the master's way. Probably they do not have anything else to rely on. Probably they have tried a lot of on-campus and off-campus jobs, but they were probably unlucky or some other reason. So again, pursuing masters become another way for them to sort of get back on the track, and then trying again. And then also many companies also care about your academic gaps and whatnot. And just saying that I was trying that sort of expression
Yeah.
becomes very faulty to them. So to
Mhm.
sort of to avoid those uncomfortable situations, pursuing masters becomes an easier way out.
Okay.
So that's another perception that we see. And then also this is probably common in other general fields, like you first pursue BSc or BA, then you pursue masters.
Hmm.
But I have often seen then after pursuing masters they end up in jobs that do not require your
Masters.
primary area of study. For
Okay.
example, let's say you did your bachelor's and master's in economics and then you end up working as a clerk at some
Yeah.
bank. I don't know why you pursued masters in the first place, because that
Yeah.
only requires higher secondary level education.
Yeah. Is there any point when graduation becomes irrelevant, since we are having so many kids who can code the fuck out of their lives?
Yeah, I know one individual who cracked a pretty good job at a company called Weights and Biases. He was just completing his plus two. Now he
From where, India?
yeah, Delhi. Yeah, that's he's one of the best coders I have ever seen in my life. He's a crazy analytical mind and whatnot. His parents are also comp science
Okay.
professors, so probably genetic, I don't know. But that bloke is now studying in the University of Manchester
Okay.
in England. So yeah, he's an all around badass. But I think this is all, it's also a noise, because not everyone will be like that.
Hmm.
So in order to have a good foundation or a good starting point, or at least a mental framework of how things are usually done, I think having a bachelor's help you have that confidence. Okay, I probably have a mental foundation, but in it again depends on you. If you are not careful,
Hmm.
if you just think, okay, I have just come here to earn my degree and then I'm not sure what am I gonna do
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it, then again it's a farce. But
Hmm.
if you are careful, if you want to really have that maturity, that clarity, and also probably an urge to develop your vision for the next 5 years, I think having a bachelor's helps.
Um, this is my second last question. Where do you see yourself by the time you retire?
Doing machine learning.
What are the things you might have accomplished by then?
Write one more book, contribute to a whole lot of other machine learning repositories, and also work on lots of other good and impactful blog posts, less ego and more collaborations, and of course I would like to probably also design a full-fledged machine learning course at some point in my life.
Would you take up a teaching position at some university?
Probably in a guest capacity, but not in a
Okay.
full-time capacity, because for me it's important to stay close to the problems and also the practicality of those problems, and in universities I don't think I'll get that.
And how about a technocratic position in the government, advisory positions?
See, I think it would be an honor for me, but then again, I won't be in a position where I can contribute to the open source initiatives and also
Hmm.
deliver talks on my own accord. And
But Sandeep Sanyal does some of it.
he does, but
Vivek Debrod.
yeah, of course, they are all amazing individuals. I cannot draw any comparisons.
Yeah, but some freedom will be hampered.
Yeah, so for me, I think that's important, and also I don't think I am in a position to decide whether or not I'll be able to handle the stress. So I need to be stress tested a
Yeah,
bit to
yeah,
be
yeah.
able to decide
Yeah,
this.
entire countries'
Yeah.
pressures will be on you. And my last question is, by 2100, what's machine learning going to do to India? are machines going to take over humans, and are we going to die at the hands of cyborgs? What are your plans?
I don't think so. There's an utterly wrong misconception. Not wrong misconception, utterly wrong conception. I'm forgetting words. I'm not sure what's happening.
But let's just tell the audience that we are not low energy vegans. It's 2:20 in the night, and it's way past his bedtime, and I haven't slept in 2 days.
So, yeah, I mean, it's an utterly wrong conception that machine learning will take place.
Take over all human jobs.
Will take over all human jobs
Right.
and whatnot. As I am, mentioning since the start of our conversation, I think one of the primary purposes of using machine learning in a product is to aid human beings. When you use Facebook, for example, when you upload a selfie to the Facebook platform, you get automated tag suggestion, right? It's there for you to aid the information retrieval process so that you can come up with a better user experience for your friends. That's it. You can convey the information in a better way. It's aiding at the end of the day. It's aiding your overall user experience, right? So that's I think that's the primary purpose of a machine learning system. It's there to aid the human beings or the other stakeholders that are involved in the system. So I think more and more systems will benefit from the use of machine learning, and of course its creative use is going to be just it's going to be exploded more, because these days we can see systems are able to generate plausible and salient images just from text prompts, and they look pretty good, right?
Yeah.
They have a sense of compositionality, right? So I think more and more such applications will come into picture where content creators will also get benefited. For example, they tend to suffer from writer's block, and coming up with contents created like that will probably help
At least trigger them further.
clear their writer's block. And there's also work going on in between psychologists whether or not it's actually helpful to sort of get them past from the writer's block, things like this.
Then is there any specific predictions do you think is going to happen by 2100? Think of the most wild and wacky thing. Like if you were a mechanical engineer, I would ask you how fast can I fly to the office? In the world of machine learning, what is the wackiest thing that might happen in 2100 in India?
Full autonomous driving.
Will that take 2100?
I think so in Indian conditions, because the autonomous driving that we see in the Silicon Valley, they're all for great mint road conditions, but we do not have that.
Okay, so your premise is that our roads will be bad even in 2100.
Probably.
Is there any way to apply machine learning to improving roads, or in terms of cost cutting, or will it cost more than?
Yeah, I mean in terms of infrastructure planning, definitely machine learning can be helpful, but
in terms of cost cutting, or just better products?
Yeah, I mean in order to plan that infrastructure, you need the machinery, right? You need an entire machinery of human resources. So probably machine learning can be used in tandem to accelerate that process. So we might be able to cut some costs when it comes to the planning side of things, but other than that, at this point in time, I don't think there's any way to sort of uplift the conditions of roads using machine learning as far as cost cutting is concerned.
Okay, then thanks a lot for this interview, and we are going to also record a Bengali version of this probably today or probably some other day. Thank you for watching this.
Thank you for having me.